Gloucestershire pulled off an improbable 5-wicket Royal London One Day Cup victory over Middlesex at Lords, the game being settled with 5 balls to spare. As was the case in the rained-off match against Sussex, Paul Stirling was off and running early with this maximum in the 3rd over. Batting first after winning the toss, the Irishman was soon caressing the ball to the boundary rope, making 22 of an opening stand with David Milan. But his time was up in the 6th over when he edged a firm drive off Liam Norwell into the safe hands of Michael Klinger at slip. A dozen more runs have been added when Nick Gubbins gave the in-form bowler a second scalp, Chris Dent this time clinging on well. Milan kept the scoreboard ticking over well enough, this one of his 5 boundaries. But having got to 31, he nicked off to Norwell, who bowled his 10-over spell straight through. And he was mightily impressive throughout, his 4th success, that of John Simpson, who was bowled behind his legs for a dozen at 97 for 4. 2 balls later, and it was a 4th 5-wicket haul of the season already for Norwell, as James Franklin edged to Phil Mustard before troubling the scorers. Norwell came off with figures of 5 for 36, leaving it to Benny Howell to keep the visitors in the ascendancy, as Ryan Higgins was brilliantly held by Mustard. By the halfway stage, Middlesex had stuttered to 116 for 6, but through Adam Voges and Toby Roland-Jones, they showed a lot of fight to keep the innings going. Happy that Norwell was now out of the attack for good, they batted with due care and attention initially, and such an approach saw Voges through to a 74-ball half-century, one which included just the 4 fours. He then steered his partnership with Roland-Jones past 50 as well. And they were by no means done there, this pair turning a very sticky situation into one far more palatable for the home team. Roland-Jones has improved so much as a batsman over the last couple of years, and he gave Voges just the support he required, as these two took the total into the 200s. For Roland-Jones, this was a nice moment, a maiden 50 in this format of the game, reached with his 7th boundary from his 58th delivery. He celebrated by fetching a ball from Graham Van Buren over the rope, the stand for the 7th wicket moving up to 111. But with 33 balls of the innings remaining, Roland-Jones found Klinger off Howell to depart for an excellent 65. 2 more wickets fell in the next couple of overs. Voges' knock ended on 81 when he drilled Van Buren to Klinger. And then Tom Helm offered Howell his 3rd wicket off the leading edge. 9 down with 228 runs on the board made it advantage Gloucestershire, but a couple of lusty blows from Stephen Finn gave Middlesex some hope. His 21 seeing his team through to a final score of 256 for 9 from the allotted 50 overs. Gloucestershire looked to Klinger and Mustard to start the chase, this the pick of their shots in an opening reply of 30 in 8 overs. But it was soon advantage Middlesex when Mustard feathered a ball from Finn behind to go for 10. Then, soon afterwards, 4 more wickets fell in the space of 8 overs, in which only 11 runs were scored. On 30, Klinger cut Roland-Jones to Higgins. Dent was bowled, trying to pull the same bowler, gone for 14. Van Buren was stumped for a duck off Ravi Patel before Jack Taylor edged Franklin to Voges. That put Middlesex in a prime position, the visitors, winner of this competition 2 summers ago, finding themselves on 65 for 5 and overs passing them by. In fact, the equation for the last 25 was 184 runs, required at a rate of 7.4 per over. Ian Cockbain and Howell would have taken heart from Middlesex's own recovery, and they kept their side in the match by stopping the rot. The rate required, however, was touching 9 runs per over when Howell decided it was time to change gears. He struck Higgins for 2 successive sixes in the 35th over. And he then repeated the dose when Roland-Jones came back on to replace Higgins, Howell completing a 50 off 43 balls. Cockbain was also raising his bat after facing a patient 97 balls, but he then put his foot down, this maximum in an over from Franklin, which cost 17 runs. That left the game in the balance, with Gloucestershire needing 47 from the last 5 overs to keep alive their very good recent record against Middlesex in limited over games over the last few years. The target was reduced to 29 off 3 overs, but it was in the 48th when the game was effectively lost for Middlesex, as Cockbain hit Helm for 4 fours in the over, 3 off the last 3 balls, which left him on 99 and 11 runs to find from 12 deliveries. Cockbain just had one of those days, producing an innings close to perfection, and he deserved to claim his maiden List A century with this nudge for a couple. He'd faced 120 balls, his second 50 coming off only 23, and it hit 11 fours and 1 6. It was an innings of the highest quality. And he finished it in real style in the last over, belting Higgins over the cover boundary to end on 108, his partnership with Howell realising 192 runs in 27 overs, the latter making 86 of 71 deliveries. So it was a surprising and frustrating 5-wicket defeat for Middlesex, who are next in action on Wednesday under the lights at the Ageas Bowl against Hampshire.